What's up, guys? My name is Chris and I'm a full-time reseller. Welcome to A Reseller's Life. This is one of the most important videos I've ever made, and I want to talk about the most dangerous way to resell on eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, Amazon, the most dangerous way to resell and how we can stop doing that, and how beginners constantly fall into this trap, and full-time people like myself also do this over and over again, and we need to stop doing it right now. Let's get straight into it. If you guys enjoy this type of content, please smash the like button. And there's new videos Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Let's get into it. So the number one most dangerous way to resell is actually yo-yo reselling. And I'm going to give you guys 5 examples of this. And the reason why it doesn't work and has no long-term value, although each of the 5 things I talk about right now will improve your sales. The problem is, if you don't continue to do them, they can actually end up hurting you. And I'll give you guys exactly how it works. Number 1, the most popular thing to do when it comes to reselling is sell on a second platform. This is like the end-all, most amazing thing to do. And so you take all your listings on eBay or Poshmark and you cross-list them on, say, Mercari, or if you're selling brand new items, maybe you also do it on Amazon. And here's the thing, here's the problem. It takes energy to do that. So when people initially get a new platform, what happens is their original platform starts to dip as they add this new platform in. And after some time, they initially get that huge bump because they get all these new sales from the new platform. But sometimes that comes at the expense of the first platform. And in the end, you end up with the same number of sales, but now you have all these expensive subscriptions that do multiple sites, and you have no system, no standardized way of ending the items on multiple platforms. You have no standardized ways of listing new items into your platform. And so what ends up happening is you just have part of your store in different places, and it ends up hurting you in the end because now your attention is diverted into multiple places. Now, again, this works because it gives you more traffic, but you need to be patient and add it into your system forever. It's not a temporary thing. You can't just add a new platform on Tuesday, stop doing it on Thursday, and expect us to work for the rest of the year. That's not how it works. You need a consistent plan. Number 2, promotions. People talk about promoted listings like it's the best thing since sliced bread, right? People are doing 1%, 5%, 7%. They're using 10% of their budget to open a Shopify store. They want to sell on Etsy and hire a person to do this. The thing is, when you're working on promotions or new marketing, the number one thing to do is to just consistently do it. If you are running radio ads, the number one thing to tell you is that you need to run it at the same time every week for a long time for people to get used to your company so they trust you and then they end up buying from you. So all these promoted listings, things that people are doing, they're changing them sometimes every single day. You're not even giving it a chance to work or not work. You need to spend time looking at each campaign to see if it's working or not, or in my opinion, just don't use promoted listings. If you're going to randomly change it really often, it's wasting so much of your valuable time. You need that to work on more important things. In my opinion, promotions is way less important than just putting the right items into your store that have the best promotions already built into them. Basically, if you sell Nikes, they've already spent billions of dollars on advertising, literally, right? They've already promoted it. You just need to get that item online. They'll take care of it for you. They did all the hard work and the heavy lifting. All you need to do is get the item on sale for a good price and they'll sell it for you. Number 3, there's an obsession with listing items at a certain time of day. Oh, I list all my items in the morning, evening, 1 a day instead of 10 on Saturday. In the end, if you do 1 a day for 7 days, or you list 7 on Saturday, you still just listed 7 items. It would be better to focus on next week listing 8, the next week listing 9, the next week listing 10. Because if you have 10 items listed versus 7, you're probably going to have a better chance of selling more items. Or if you're spending that time researching a replenishable or a hotter item, that's a better use of time than thinking about when you're listing your items. It's crazy talk how much time people spend on thinking about when to optimize listing their items when that doesn't really affect your store that much. Number 4. researching sold prices in your category or items that you want to search in. If you want to start selling watches, you should spend time in looking at how watches sell. What's hot? What are the trends? What are people looking for? Are they looking for sports watches, dress watches? Do they like small faces, big faces? Do they like metal? Is the new wood watch? Is that a good trend? You need to be paying attention to this, and you need to have a schedule where you look at this stuff all the time. The people who are the best at their category and sell through, I give that caveat, the people who sell the things the fastest have the most understanding of what the items are supposed to sell at. They know an item at $25 might not sell at all, but will sell like crazy at $19. They know that because they've spent time researching. So you need to cultivate this habit and constantly researching your specific category. Number 5, and this one drives me crazy, but it's photography. For photography, what you really need is bright pictures that are clear and in focus so people can get an idea of what they're buying and sort of the texture of it. The background doesn't matter that much unless it's cluttered. If it's cluttered, then it looks unprofessional. But if your photos are clear and bright, that's like 90% of it. So don't spend a ton of time improving this. And worst off, do not spend a ton of time improving it and then not being consistent. You'll see people's stores as you follow them. Photos were great for like a week. And it's like, what happened during that week? Oh, that week I was off work, so I spent some time doing a good job. But this week I'm back at work, so it just went back to the same old thing where it's on the floor with a can of Coke in the background. Don't do that. Be consistent. Just pick one way of doing things and continuously do it. Does it need to be perfect? Not really, but it does need to be clear and bright so people can see the item to the best of your ability. And if you're consistent, it's going to save you so much time. Okay, so now I'm going to get into Skillshare, which is a new sponsor of my show. And I won't spend too much time on this, but because of Skillshare, I can make a lot of these courses for free. So every Friday, I'm going to post a new video and a new series on Skillshare. And this week, the first video is going to be how to price items competitively so they sell fast. So instead of trying to navigate my YouTube channel, which is really hard at this point since there's so many videos, I'm just going to make a new course every single week on Friday. It's going to be free. You get 2 months free on Skillshare if you use my link in the description below. And the first one comes out on Friday, and it is listing items to sell quickly. I actually did that using a tool called Snap, which I did basically a tutorial with the founder, Jonathan, going over how you can quickly search sold prices on eBay and Poshmark so that you can price your items accurately. And most importantly, like, let's say there's a super fast selling item. That one, if it's rare, you don't need to price it very low. You can just price it at market or even higher so you can get more money. If an item, let's say, sells for a lot of money, but it's not that popular or not that many people look for it, maybe price that item below what you want for it because there's just so few people looking at it. You sort of need to pull people in from different price brackets or different categories to buy that item because maybe there's only 30 people looking for that item versus 3,000 people looking for a different item. So it's important to recognize when you price items differently. I'm going to have that link in the description below. And again, you can just sign up with Skillshare with my link anyway and get 60 days free to thousands of different courses that are on there from different creators. But I'm going to get into one more thing that people do that drives me crazy, which is, and I know this for sure does not work. Chris, every morning when I wake up, I delete the eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari app off my phone, and I make sure to close all my browsers and turn my computer off. And that way, eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari think that I've deleted them and I'm moving on to a different platform. So they'll try to get me back by giving me a bunch of traffic. Then in the afternoon, I'll re-download all the apps, and they'll think I'm a new user, and they'll give me a boost in traffic. That leaves me almost speechless because that takes so much mental real estate to run that crazy thing, and there's nothing more pointless than mastering things that don't matter, and those are things that really do not matter. eBay and Poshmark and Mercari do not need your business. There are millions of sellers. They're not afraid of you leaving. You deleting the app in the morning is totally ridiculous. So don't randomly do things for the short term. Just think about what's going to work long term. So now I'm going to give you guys 5 things that absolutely will help you stay on track and consistent. We'll start with the first one, which is get a baseline for your store. This is really important. How many items are you listing each week? When do you list them? Just get a simple notebook. They're 99 cents. You can also use a agenda that's based on daily, weekly, or monthly. I use a monthly one. You can also keep a journal. I use the 6-minute diary, which has been awesome for me. In the morning, I write down things that I'm working on. In the evening, I write down things that I'm working on. Done. Do that over and over again. You kind of get an idea and a baseline of what it is that you're doing week to week. And that's going to be important because once you have that system, you can either improve it or look at inconsistencies or look at things that you're doing super well and continue to do that. All of those supplies that I use and all the books that I'm reading are in the description below on my Amazon link. So you can click on there and see what I use. But again, you don't need to spend too much money. Literally get a 99-cent notebook and just start writing down what you're doing every single week. Number 2, I stole this idea from dieting, which is calories in, calories out. Just start logging how much money you're spending each week. What are you spending on gas, supplies, poly mailers? How much are you spending? And then at the end of the week, total how much money you got in. How much money came in, how much money went out. That's actually how you pay taxes. That's what the IRS cares about. The IRS doesn't actually need your receipts. They just want to know, okay, they might ask you for them if they end up auditing you, but overall, they're just looking for revenue in, revenue out. How much money went into your bank account? How much did you spend? That's it. What's the difference? That's the profit. Pay us taxes on that. If you start logging that, it's really going to help you because it's been proven that the fastest way to lose weight is to just diary what you eat and what you do each week. So you'll know exactly, if you use something like MyFitnessPal, how many calories you ate, and then how much exercise you did, and it can tell you on paper whether you lost or gained weight. So it's the same thing with reselling. How much did you spend? How much did you make? Improve that every single week. Number 3, ask yourself, can you do this forever? Okay, this is really important. You may try a challenge or a fad or trying to do something, but can you consistently do that forever? That's why I want you to establish your baseline. You've been listing 75 items every single week for the last year. Can you really do 200 a week? Can you, or can you sustain that? Or are you just going to do it one week when you actually have a week off of work to do it? You just got to think to yourself, what is sustainable? What can you do forever? Think about this long term, because reselling is one of those occupations that stops when you stop. It's not passive income unless you guys have figured out something that I don't know. This is not passive income. It's very much like a job. You do something, you get something. Number 4, focus on small changes. Little things that you can do every single day to improve things. Cleaner desk, cleaner procedures, one less photo, or maybe one other procedure or process you do that saves you a few seconds. That's it. Just do that over and over again. No one makes gigantic changes every single day. That's not how this works. That's why I changed this channel from 10K on the Bay to daily refinement, because I just want to be focusing on making little improvements here and there. If you guys have been watching my channel for a long time, from first video to now, I am a completely different person. And I'm a different person every single day, but only by a tiny amount. Number 5, surround yourself with people who are doing the same thing. If you have people around you that are consistently listing a lot, you will also list a lot. If you have people around you that are all millionaires, you'll probably become a millionaire if you adopt the same kinds of habits. If you're like me and sort of the people you grew up with didn't really provide that for you, then you're going to have to rely on books or really reaching out to people with some kind of value. And most people who are at that level do not have time for you. You're going to have to figure out a way to get into their circle, or you could just read and think about their ideas on podcasts or in books or essays and just get around them mentally. That's really going to help you level up. I just revamped my Patreon group. So now there's really 2 levels. There's $12 a month. You can join us Monday through Friday in the mornings and go over your schedule, your habits. This is more for beginners, people learning how to resell. And then I have one higher level mastermind, which just meets on Sunday morning. We're going over a little bit more concrete strategies. What are you doing this week personally to improve? And again, even for these high level people who are going to be in that group, they can only do one thing per week. It's going to be a sure telltale sign that they're not very good if they're like, oh, this week I'm going to do photography changes. I'm going to change my listing process. I'm going to contact 100 suppliers. You know that person is not serious, because you can't do that many things in one week. It's just one thing that you can improve. And also focus on the supply chain. What are you doing personally to improve the supply chain each week? That's sort of that higher level group. So I'm revamping my Patreon just a tiny bit, so just like beginners and sort of full-time people, $12 or $125 for the higher level group. And I haven't decided how many people I'm going to cap that at, but I'm thinking 10. Okay, so now I want to show you guys how to copy a different store. First thing I want you to do is sort of get an idea of what you want to sell. Then you pick somebody that you kind of want to copy. So you can save their store. If you guys want to save my store and get an idea, you can you can click on the link below and go to my eBay store. The username is Daily Refinement. That's my public store. You can click the Save the Search button, and what'll happen is it'll give you alerts over email or over on your phone when I list new items. The first thing you want to notice is how many items is somebody listing, right? And if you have followed my store since November 1st, you will see that in this new store, I list roughly 210 items per week or 30 items per day. I've listed about 3,500 items in this store. I've had 1,000 sales just since I pretty much started in November. And you can consistently see I'm pumping about 30 items into the store on average every single day because of my schedule. Sometimes it's like 100 and then 10, but consistently 210 per week. Then secondly, you want to look at the format. What do these listings look like? The last 3,000 listings I put into my store look almost identical. The photos are almost the same. The titles are in the exact same format. I have the exact same item specifics. Everything is the same, right? And again, I'm still new to this process of doing everything the exact same way every single time, but the people that I am copying are averaging right around 100 new listings a day, and they have very little difference. It's like very minute. And you can tell that sometimes these companies or people that I'm following have different people working there because you can see the different variations in style. If you were to look at my store, you could easily see there are 3 different people taking photographs. And these are things that you notice when you start following a store to get an idea of what they are doing versus what you are doing. Then, lastly, you want to look at what types of items these people are listing. What is consistently going up? Is it the same category? Is it not the same category? Is it the same style? Is it the same color? What is it that they're listing? Because most likely, the stuff that they're listing most recently is better stuff, because usually over time as a reseller you get better and better at sourcing, better and better stuff. You're listing less stuff, but it's better, and that's how I recommend you approach your reselling game. Less but better. Less but better. Start not selling things that are not on trend. Start honing your store down. So you'll notice if you get really in tune with making your store tight, it's actually really hard to grow your store. Your sell-through rate will start to grow, meaning the number of items your percentage of items will start to sell, but the number of listings that you can list stays the same. So your store during that period will actually shrink because you can't list as many as items are selling. That's an okay problem to have because that just means you need to optimize how many more listings are going into the store, but you're starting to improve the sell-through rate. You don't want to say, okay, I'm selling things too fast. I'm going to start raising the price or doing things that are unnecessary. You can always list more items, but you can't always sell items faster. So I'll take the latter always. Focus on selling things quick. So as you're stocking people's stores, pay attention to how many listings are going up. What is the consistency of these listings? And are similar items being listed? I'm doing that with the stores that I am copying. Also, they are only a couple of levels higher than me. Instead of picking stores like BHFO, I think they list 500 items that are new a day. I can't list 500 items a day. That store is too far beyond my process. When I look at that store, because it's actually one of the stores that I copy, I can tell their procedures are different. They only take 2 photos, front and back. A lot of their pictures their listings do not have any measurements. What that looks like to me is a factory, right? They're just churning out listings. Contrast that with another store that's a boutique style. You can see somebody writes 2 paragraphs about the item. They really, really care about the items. They love them. They tell you where they came from, how to care for them, amazing things about that item. If you go that route, you can guess probably that's a solo operator, somebody who's passionate about the business and loves bringing you, treasures that they found from somewhere. fantastic, but you'll be able to tell if you just stalk stores and try to figure out what it is that they're doing. Okay, so now I want to tie this all together. What is it about resellers that causes them to yo-yo resell? And that is the main culprit, which is valuing new information over consistency. This is the reason why people yo-yo diet. They think that something new is better, so they're constantly have their ear tied to the YouTube, or what's new, what's fresh, what are people doing, what's selling, and they're bouncing around here and there, and that's what causes them to lose focus on just being consistent. So again, this is not rocket science. You just consistently do what you do week after week, and the results will be consistent. If you do something different every single week, you're gonna have no idea what's gonna happen. So don't do that. Focus on being consistent. So again, thank you very much for listening to my show. All of my shows are sponsored by my very own reseller field guide, which is in the description below. If you use code YouTube, it makes it $35, and that's just how I earn at least $1,000 per week net reselling. Now that my store is public, this store that's public is already almost at $2,000 a week net profit. So again, at this point, I have a completely public store where you can watch that. You can download my guide, which is going to be upgraded now every single Friday, because on Friday I'm releasing a new video and a Skillshare. So there's a bunch of links to help me out in the description below. I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to me. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, make progress daily.